Alright guys, we are doing a Star Wars Armada battle report for you today. So the mission that we are playing is Contested Outpost. So basically there's the station, and anybody who's within distance 1 of the station will basically gain victory tokens. And the station just so happens to be on the Imperial side of the board, which is always where it should be. Moving on, so basically we got a classic Imperials versus Rebels matchup. So we'll run through the Imperials here first. So we got a Imperial 2 with Avenger, Sloan, Nita, ECM, quad battery, leading shots, and boarding troopers with a Quasar that has Pursuant, Flight Commander, Flight Controllers, expanded hangars, and boosted comms, and then a Gozanti just for another activation really, but CommsNet as well. And then some heavy hitters on the squadron side. So we start with the Dark Lord, or the Lord of the Sith here, so Darth Vader, Dengar, because Dengar is awesome, and Howlrunner and Mauler, so bringing the Black Squadron back together. Merrick Steele, just because really best of the TIE Defenders already. And then Colonel Jendon, just for some more shenanigans with between the Quasar and the Gozanti as well, just to be able to activate fighters at really long ranges. And then Baron Fell as well, so just some shenanigans there between him and Dengar, Vader, and Howlrunner. So, and that's the list here. We're kind of focused on one side because we're going to try and protect the station as long as we can, get some victory tokens, and then do some rebel cleanup. So we'll move on to the rebel side here. What do we got on the rebel side? So just kind of scroll through the fleet here. There's a lot of smaller ships today.
Kind of a throw to the Star Wars Rebels cartoon, kind of a fluffy list here. We have the Commander Sato on the Phoenix Home, modified Pelta class command ship with boosted comms, Ahsoka Tano and Ezra Bridger, and then the the fleet command, all fighters follow me, to give some boost to the fighters if I activate with that. Then using a couple of the upgrade cards out of the Rebellion the Rim box, we have the Auxiliary Shields team on a couple of Nebulan Bs to kind of boost their side shields. Salvation title on a support Ned B and Spinal Armament, and then the Yavaris title on an escort frigate and fighter coordination team to kind of move some fighters up with him, deal some damage there hopefully. A speedy Corvette, Corvette B, Dodonna's Pride, with Captain Rex on there to try to either dish out some raid tokens and keep them on there as long as we can. Come down to the squadrons. We have Harrison Dula on the Ghost, Kanan Jarrus on a Hawk 290, 2 X-Wing squadrons, and 3 Y-Wing squadrons to round things out. So definitely on the short end of the stick when it comes to squadron firepower, but maybe the titles of Yavaris can help out a little bit with that.
And a classic split the fleet maneuver here to start with, so we'll see if we can punish the rebels for that. So we'll be back at the end of turn 1. Alright, so at the end of turn 1 we have some movement, so a lot of rebel terrorist action coming here. They're doing a big old flanking maneuver moving in. Imperials, we basically just moved up kind of in a roughly straight line. Star Destroyers going a little bit ahead of the pack here. When we activated the Quasar, we basically moved up 5 of our squadrons and managed to get Hera engaged right off the bat, and she's at half her health, actually a little bit below. Vader took a little bit of damage in return fire. Pelta moved up, tried to shoot the squadrons a little bit, didn't end up doing anything. Who's the small guy flying? Is that Ezra?
No, that's Kanan.
Yeah. So he kind of snuck by. He didn't want to get involved with any of that. Don't blame him. And then basically, yeah, all the Y-Wings and X-Wings are coming in here slowly. So we gotta try and make short work of this side of the board, and then get kind of reoriented to deal with the rest of the rebel fleet. So we do have a little bit of time, but not too much, so we don't want to get overwhelmed. Beyond that, yeah, we'll see how things shake out here in turn 2, but we definitely need to look at doing some solid damage to the rebels on this turn. Hopefully maybe even dropping potentially the Pelta. We'll see what goes on. So we'll be back after turn 2. Alright, we are back at the end of turn 2, so lots of moving, lots of action. So the rebels are still closing in with their smaller ships here. A little bit of smaller action here. That furball that we had up here, saw a little bit of shooting from the rebels. Vader took some more damage, but towards the end of the turn, Vader was then finally just able to obliterate Hera, so she is part of that debris cloud now. The Pelta kind of did a drive-by, now it's running away, being chased by the Avenger. The Quasar had a raid token placed on it by, what was it, Kanan, right? We had to discard our dial to get rid of that, and took a little bit of shield damage as well. But ultimately, between the Quasar doing a little bit of anti-squadron, there used to be Kanan and an X-Wing there. And then with the Gozanti activating, we brought over Mauler, who kind of placed himself right between there, which triggered his special ability, some free damage there. And then Jendon actually came in, pulled a hard left, and put the final damage on Kanan, so that's all taken care of there. And again, a little bit more anti-squadron basically from all of our capital ships just to whittle some stuff down that we could. We took a pot shot at the Pelta, but he just evaded it, so nothing there. And then end of the turn, now that Hera was done up there and we couldn't really get any other shots at the fleeing Pelta, so we basically just decided to migrate everybody down here to lock up the Y-Wings and X-Wings coming in and sort of reform the sort of swarm and counter bubble with Dengar and Hellrunner and all that fun stuff. Vader's going to have to catch up next turn, but that's fine there, so gives him a turn to be out of danger potentially, and so we'll see what the Rebels do on turn 3. We have held the station for 2 turns, but we're slowly going to be moving away from it as the Rebels are coming in at pretty dang fast speed here. So we will be back at the end of turn 3 for you guys. All right, we're back at the end of 3. Again, lots of moving and more action here. So the Rebels are finally swinging around, but it's taken all 3 of those ships basically to now to really get into engagement range. So it's a whole lot of their fleet that hasn't really done anything yet. We basically managed to whittle all of their fighters down except for the one Y, basically kind of using the sort of synergy between Swarm, Hellrunner, extra shots with like counter and stuff like that. The Gozanti just moved up and basically just allowed Jendon and Dengar to get back in because they had gotten moved due to some capital ships bumping into them. Gozanti really didn't do anything else. The Quasar took a few pot shots with its anti-squadron. I think maybe did a hull damage. Sadly, some jerk on the Pelta moved an asteroid in front of the ISD, so that took some damage there and knocked the shields down a little bit because it's also on a debris field. But we repaired a little bit of that with engineering. The ISD did do some solid damage with anti-squadron to just keep whittling his stuff down. And now we're really hoping to get into range on this next turn here to really start dealing with his capital ships. We did also take a solid pot shot from the front and whittled the side down on that middle Nebulon there. So, and we've held the station 3 turns now, but we're slowly going to be moving away from it. We got Nebulons and stuff coming in, but our goal is to now really just start dropping capital ships here, hopefully pretty quick. And all of our fighters and stuff should be freed up here pretty soon, so we can also just start plinking down his shields, making them vulnerable. We just got to hold on. So we will be back at the end of 4. Alright, back at the end of turn 4, so we did finally take care of the last Rebel fighters. We managed to down one of the Nebulon Bs through attrition. A little bit of damage from ships, but it was basically all the squadrons just kind of piling in because the rear shields on it were down to 0. So it's kind of where we managed to maneuver and just put that damage through. Other than that, we kind of moved up a little bit, trying to put some damage into the Pelta. Hopefully we'll get lucky this turn there. Quasar actually did a little bit of damage to Nebulon as well. Then the Gozanti actually was run into by one of the Nebulons, and then so they kind of both took some damage there. And really we're just kind of making sure we can get our fighters in and hopefully have them contribute and drop another capital ship. So Rebels did get a victory token this turn because they had more command close to the station, but we're going to hopefully try and drop as much as we can this turn. So we'll be back after 5.
Would have been on the station, but
yeah,
it doesn't matter.
So just so end of turn 5, and basically the Rebels have conceded here. So they did manage to get to the station again, which would have drawn them their 3rd token. But we did a little bit of cleanup work with our fighters, put some extra damage on his last Nebulon, moved around with the Quasar, very narrowly avoided the ISD there, and then we finally got a good firing solution on the Pelta and sent Ahsoka to her demise. So the galaxy is safe again. So the Pelta just, we got lucky with our accuracies and stuff, and basically just he ate like 9 damage. So very hot roll on the front, and then the side shot, was obscured long range and stuff at the Nebulon that was formerly on the station, but we managed to push a lucky double hit on the red die through, and then that blew that thing up as well. So, and with just the Corvette left, the Rebels aren't going to decide to stick around to turn 6. So it was 3-3 on the victory tokens, but we did end up losing our Gozantes. The Nebulon did shoot that before it bit the dust, but we haven't lost anything else. A lot of damage on our fighters, but Vader was hanging on with 1 health, but the ISD really didn't take any damage, so it's a little bit late in the game for that thing to have to worry about anything, and the Quasar is essentially fine as well. So again, only the Gozantes bit the dust as they were bravely defending the station. So victory here for the Imperium, making the galaxy great again. But Rebels, I'm sure, will be back with a new set of tactics and stuff next time around. So, and yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that. We'll try and have more for you here down the road as well. And if you could, drop us a like and a subscribe if you haven't already, and then stay tuned for more Star Wars Armada.